Hi guys, Andrea Mills here. Today I'm going to talk about the progress I've been making with the KonMari method of organizing or tidying, and I have finished the third stage, which was the paper decluttering. So I'm going to visit with you guys a little bit about that today. But if you're new to my channel, I just want to say that we are a family of 10. Tom and I have 8 children that are ranging in age from, as of today, 16 months and 14 years. And we run a business out of our home. We also homeschool, and we have a home church, and all of these activities take place in our house, which is 800 square feet. I know that for sure. I debated about that at one point when I was doing some videos on living in a small house, and people were questioning whether or not this was actually considered a small house. I guess that's always relative, but when I was going through my papers, I found all the legal stuff from our loans and everything. I went through that, and sure enough, yes, it's sold and listed as an 800 square foot house. We have finished our basement to make it livable space, which doubled the size of the house. So we've actually got 1,600 square feet of living space, but we pack a lot into our little house, and so that's what we're going to talk about today, is how that went with the papers. I did take a little bit of video of the actual process so you guys could see like what it looked like while I was doing it, so that will be at the end. I have always vacillated between being an organized and a disorganized person in my life, and in high school, my schoolwork, my papers were very organized. My bedroom, not so much. But then when I went off to college, that was the first time that I really had to start thinking these things through for myself and figuring stuff out. So in college, I bought one of those little plastic file boxes, and I started a little system where I kept track of my bills and some important school things in there, and I felt on top of it. Then when Tom and I got married, I did not know what I was doing. Things just really fell apart for me for a little while. And so I finally came up with a system at home to keep track of everything, and I felt like I was on top of it again. And then we started having kids, and then we started homeschooling, and then we started our business. And all of these things were just happening so fast that I just didn't ever feel like I had the time, or I didn't take the time, I guess, to figure out exactly what I needed to keep and what I didn't need to keep. And so I just very tidily packed everything up and put it into our attic. So up in our attic, I had boxes full of business records for the past 11 years. I had school completed schoolwork that I had not gotten rid of. Over the years, I did actually get better, so I slowed down the process of what was going up into the attic, but there was still earlier things that were up there. I also had up there things like old planners that I had used, and of course pictures and all that kind of stuff. So we hauled everything down. I had the kids help me, and I had a lot of boxes. I don't know if I got a video of what the boxes, I think I got one stack of boxes, but I didn't get a video of everything. I also hauled down some stuff that wasn't paper at all, that I could just see with my own eyes. This is not the stuff, I don't want this stuff. So we hauled that out just to get it out of the way and donated that. So I think I did get some video of that stuff. But we hauled everything down, and I immediately felt overwhelmed when I started looking in the boxes. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And I realized what was bogging me down was looking at my old planners and anything that was related to school, because that stuff has ideas in them. I don't really care about it for the record keeping aspect, but for the, oh, I forgot I used to do that, maybe I want to incorporate that in again kind of thing. So what I decided to do was, in the KonMari method, things that have sentimental value are supposed to come last in the decluttering thing, because it is the hardest to do and slows you down the most. So she says save that stuff for the last. So I decided to also make an ideas category to put at the last with the sentimental things, because I feel like I could get really slowed down if I'm picking through all that stuff. So all the old planners went back in with, you know, stuff that I found in pictures and things like that. Kids cute schoolwork type things. I've just put all that kind of stuff into the box or into boxes and sent that back up to the attic to deal with later. Then schoolwork that was like tests that I want to make sure I'd recorded the scores, and old PACEs, that's our work booklets. I went ahead and I dealt with that stuff because that didn't feel difficult for me to deal with. So I got my little notes here of things I want to remember to say. I don't remember what that note means anymore. Anyways, so when I start looking at all these boxes though, I decided immediately to get rid of the stuff that, or to set aside the stuff that, the ideas and the sentimental things, that's gonna be dealt with later. That left me with lots of business records, lots, like our taxes, tickets that we had for people, receipts for things. I had a lot of manuals for things like the dishwasher and lawnmower and all that kind of stuff. I also had stuff in our file cabinet that I went through, which I went through our file cabinet over the summer and I'd rearranged some things, so I felt satisfied with how most of that was already done. But the personal files, like our health records and stuff to do with our house and just things like that, I hadn't actually went through each individual file. So anyways, as I'm looking at all this, it occurs to me that it's probably not a good idea for me just to throw this all in the garbage, because it has people's personal information on it. So I paused my efforts once we culled everything down, and I got on Amazon and I ordered a paper shredder, and I got a decent one. It wasn't like one of those little ones that just sits on the trash can, but it wasn't like this, like a bigger super industrial one either. It was like $125, and I made sure, I don't know anything about stuff, so I was like, I want to make sure it can do staples. So I think that's probably standard, but I did make sure it could take staples. It could also do credit cards and CDs, and it could shred 24 pages at a time, which I was happy with. So when the shredder came, I just sat there for a long time and shredded papers, and you can only shred for like 15 minutes at a time, and then you're supposed to give it a break so that you don't overheat it. So this process took me a long time, and I would sit there and I'd open up envelopes of stuff, because as I said, all my stuff was very tidy in the boxes, pretty much. It just didn't need to be there anymore. So I'd take out all the stacks of old tickets and things that I had, and I sit there and I'd shred them, and then after 15 minutes or so I would stop, and then later I'd come back and I'd do some more. As far as like things for the receipts and stuff for our income taxes and for business things, I did look online to figure out how far back I need to save stuff, and I shredded everything else. For our income taxes, I did keep the 1040 form, the 2 pages, but I shredded all the rest of the stuff. Essentially, the KonMari method is, with paper, you should aim for completely getting rid of it and only keep stuff that's absolutely necessary. And I very much embrace that. So by the time I was done with all of this, I had about 20 bags of shredded paper total that got hauled out to the garbage. If this was the summertime, I would have kept it and put it in the compost in the garden, but that's not going to happen right now. So I am looking forward to being able to use it that way in the future, though. It's really nice because our PACEs, our schoolwork, that we can stick a whole PACE in the shredder at once, and so after I look through the kids' stuff in the future, I can just shred it and be done with it. So I'm really happy about that. So then our schoolwork can feed our garden, which will be great. When it comes to the manuals that we had, I got rid of almost all of them because I feel like most of the stuff you can find online if you want it. I did ask Tom about a few things because I actually see him go to the manuals sometimes and get them out and look at them, so I had him look at some things that I wasn't sure about to make sure that I didn't throw away something that he felt like he should keep. So we got our stack of manuals down from like this giant stack down to just about that many of them. As far as like loan papers and things like that, I went through them and I got rid of stuff that seemed extraneous, like it was necessary, it was a part of the loan process, but isn't something that I needed to keep. So I just try to keep the things that seemed relevant still or potentially relevant in the future. I also went through my emails and I pretty much deleted all of them. I am terrible about looking at email and then not doing anything with it, or not looking at it at all for days, and then just like picking out the few that are important that I want to look at and not looking at the rest. So I think I had like 2,500 emails just in my inbox. So I went through all of them, and yeah, I guess I kind of did one by one and deleted all of them. And then some of them I put into folders that I wanted to keep. But then as I've been getting new emails since then, I've been clicking on things and unsubscribing from lists so that I can slow down the incoming emails, because there's just a lot. And for me, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Once I look at something once, if I don't deal with it right then, it disappears. So many of you that have sent me wonderful messages on here privately, or just said nice things and I want to respond to it, or on Facebook you've sent me private messages asking me things even, and I look at them and then I think, well, I don't have time to respond properly to that right now, so I'll wait until I can really write a good answer or a reply, and then it goes away and I just never do it. And then I'm sorry that happens. If that happens to you, if you ask me something and I never responded, you could try again, because it's likely that I meant to, but it disappeared from my world once I looked at it and then it was gone. So someone asked me specifically about magazines, which I didn't actually, well, I guess I did declutter some magazines during this process, because I have 4 bins on my desk that I already had set up, that I organize the stuff that gets left on my desk. So I have one for business papers, one for school papers, one for reading material, and one for everything else. So I did go through my reading materials bin, and I pretty much threw away all the magazines that I had already. There was a couple brand new ones that I did keep to read, but I used to be a magazine junkie, and they would get stacks and stacks of them, and then when I would finally throw them away, it was like so heavy trying to carry those bags out, and it was terrible. So I realized they're never ending. Everyone has good ideas, everyone has good information, and the next one's going to have good ideas and good information too. So if I don't get all the past ones, it's okay. I just threw them away, and I have been trying for a long time, actually, probably the last few years, to stop getting magazine subscriptions for myself and get stuff from the library, because they have lots of magazine subscriptions already, and you can give gift ones for at least at my library you can. I assume at any library, if you want to gift a subscription to the library, then they get the magazine and everyone can read it, and then I can check it out and read it, but then I don't have to keep it, and I don't have to feel guilty about throwing it away, and it's always there if I want to go look at it, because I keep like several years worth there at the library of each type of magazine. Then when I should have brought it in here, but I didn't, but when I want to keep something from a magazine that I liked, but it's not my magazine, it's the library's, I will either copy the page on the printer, or I have a little, I want to say it was called a magic wand, but I can't remember for sure, but it's like a little handheld scanner. So it's like a little bar, and mine has a dock you can set it into so you can feed papers through it, or you can take it off the dock and then you just rub it across the paper and it takes a scan of the picture. So sometimes I'll actually just take that to the library with me, and when I'm reading and I see something that I want to keep, like an idea or whatever, I'll just scan the page while I'm sitting there reading the magazine, and then I can leave it at the library and not feel at all like I need to even bring it home with me, or like I'm missing out because it's not my magazine. One of the benefits to doing this whole process, the KonMari method, is she says that once you do it once, you really never have to do it again, because you learn through the process and you change as a person. And that's the thing that I keep finding, is that I just keep getting more and more clear about what I need, where I'm going, what I'm doing, and my desk looks amazing. And it's been over a week since I finished. I'm just now finally getting around to shooting this intro part of the video, but it still looks amazing, and every day it looks amazing, and I feel like, I think she's right. I don't think it's ever going to get this huge mess like it did before, because I'm so clear now about what I need to keep and what I don't need to keep. In fact, for our business stuff, I thought to myself, there's no reason to keep a ticket ever, because we have all of them on the computer already, and so the printed out version is completely extraneous. We don't need that. So I now, when I deal with those paperwork things on a twice monthly basis. I plan just to shred them immediately rather than putting them in my bin. And then everything we have from like a whole year's worth of business fits in that one bin. So I don't even need any files in my file cabinet anymore for receipts and things like that, because I realized I can just all stack the whole thing in the bin, and then when it's time to do taxes at the end of the year, I can sort through it and get it all in order for doing our taxes. But there's no reason to go to any effort to pre-sort all of that and take up space in the file cabinet. It wasn't actually benefiting me. So the only thing I have still in the file cabinet is stuff related to people's like tax exempt forms and sales tax, kind of some business contracts and things like that. So I have a couple small file folders of stuff still in the file cabinet. Then I have a basket where I have the last couple of years worth of receipts that we still need to keep. And that basket previously was completely full. Now it's just got a little bit left in it. So that's going to stay like it is. And then current things are just going to be dropped in the bin on my desk and stay there until tax time. So I am really happy with how this is going. And as I said, I've already come up with plans now of how to deal with the kids' schoolwork. And I feel good that I pretty much, there might still be a box or two that I missed, but I got all of their past test scores recorded in my little system that I'm using now, so that everything just feels like I'm getting on top of things. It feels so freeing, and it's so wonderful having all of that stuff gone out of here. So I'm going to leave you now with some video of what it actually looked like while I was working on it, and you can see a little bit of Tom going through a file that I had in the file cabinet of old school records for him. It was very fun to look at and reminisce with him over. And then the next thing that I'm going to start working on is the KonMari category, which was all of the miscellaneous items in the house. So I'm going to be starting on that process today, and I'll continue to make videos to show how that is going in the future. So we'll talk to you guys again soon.
I'm gonna put my finger in it.
We just got our new paper shredder, so we can start shredding all of our papers.
No
No toys or babies. No hair.
No bombs.
No bombs.
Clothes.
No clothes. No tools. No hands.
Paper.
Only paper. No bombs, he says. Is that what it says?
Hands.
And no hands. Okay, I went through this file cabinet drawer. This has business stuff to do with our financial things, our house, and then like personal things like health records and stuff like that. So this is all that's left. These are some manuals for a few things that I wanted to keep. But this, about this much is what I shredded. That's a lot of stuff we got rid of. I have one little stack here that I need to ask Tommy about some of the things in here before I decide what to do with them. These are all the files that are now empty and can go away.
I don't even know what these are or why we have them. Child stress scale.
This must have been from when you were little.
Losing a parent is a 6.9. Not quite as bad to go blind, apparently.
So I assume this maybe is from when your dad died and you had counseling?
I have no idea. Where did you get these?
Out of that file. We just came across something that talks about what Tommy was like when he was little. Apparently this is I don't know, some sort of a analyzing thing that they did, and he's just reading all the stuff it said about him when he's little, and it's still true. Read the last little part about math and
Subjects which he has a strong preference for are science and technology, mathematics, philosophy, and ancient languages. Those are all my favorite things. I want to keep that. Pleasure to have in class. Socializing is a problem. You got all B's and one D.
That's good indeed. Your notebook project was inadequate.
Has not worked to potential. Work missing. Incomplete. Late.
It's interesting.
This is standard achievement tests. Pretty much average, except for capitalization. I didn't know that could be a subject.
You're really good.
I'm really good at capitalization and math problems and language usage.
The honor roll, you turn things around.
I don't know if that's the case or not.